Hello everybody, it's Lou Collins and I've got another template for you that I've downloaded free from Craftworld. So this one is a fold flat box card, also known as a pop-up box card. There's lots of different names for it. But as I say, you can download it for free from Craftworld. You can print it off on your computer. I say this every video now just so that you know you don't have to print it off on the best paper, because we're literally going to be cutting into this template and then probably getting rid of it afterwards. So I print it off on recycled paper. I do it in black and white as well. I don't worry about the colour, but it's up to you how you print this off and on what paper. So the first thing I'm going to do is choose a base colour for my box card, and the idea with this is that it will all fold flat, so it will go in an envelope. This is a nice, quite a compact one, quite a small one, but if you want to, you could print this out a little bit larger to almost fill an A4 sheet if you've got that ability with your printer settings, and then make a larger card. Obviously you'll have to think about your envelopes, so whether you've got envelopes that will fit or whether you can make envelopes that fit. If you have the Creative Craft Products scoreboard and envelope and box maker, of course you can make lots of different shaped envelopes using that. So that's really handy to have for these videos. Anyway, I often use the Creative Craft Products tool, so I can show you that later. Another thing I always use as well is a low tack or a repositionable spray adhesive. So this one is by Crafter's Companion, available from Craft Stash when I suddenly got it. Hopefully it's still in stock for you, but anything like that that will hold your template still for you, but it can be removed afterwards. So I've chosen the base colour for my card first of all. I've also chosen a paper that matches. Now I actually do this the other way round. I often go with my pattern paper first, decide on that, choose that, and then I choose my base colour to match. So I've gone for a lovely green. Now I think this paper came from Simply Made Crafts, one of Helen's pattern paper packs. It may have been a special day, a wedding collection she brought out towards the end of last year. This has got blues in it, it's got peaches and corals and pinks, and then of course it's also got the green. So I've chosen this time to use the greens with it. So I'll pop the pattern paper to the side. As you can see, it is an offcut. It's sort of for my scraps box. But why not use those while we can? And this is a full A4 sheet. So I'm going to spray the template, the back of the template that I've printed off, with my repositionable spray glue. And I always spray it onto the part that I'm going to be removing, that I'm not keeping. So that in this case is the template. If I was to spray this onto the cardstock, then the template would come off away from the cardstock, but this cardstock would be left with a tacky residue and it would always be sticky. This way, when I peel off the template, the stickiness, the tackiness remains on here and nothing on my cardstock. So popping this down onto my cardstock, and usually I would bring in my trimmer. Now I was talking about Creative Craft Products. This is the trimmer I use because it has a cutting tool here, which is the orange blade, and then it also has a scoring blade as well, the white one. And you can buy the replacement blades too with this. But because of the shape of this, I could go ahead and I could cut that with my trimmer, but I'd need to be careful because we've got some areas here that you need to cut into. So I'm actually going to use my big scissors today because we need to get into these areas. So if I just show you here, there's 4 corners we need to snip into, a nice sharp corner there. So it's not quite as easy to use your trimmer for this all the way around. You can certainly use it for some parts and then go in with the scissors for the more intricate areas. Essentially what I'm going to do here is just trim around the entire outline of this shape. So there's the outline all cut out. I can peel that off still if I want to, but I like to keep it on while I do the score lines. It just means they're more accurate. So bringing in either your scoring board or, as myself, the trimmer with the scoring blade. So I put my cutting blade up the top out of the way. I really like how this actually colour coordinates with the paper I've chosen too. And then I'm just going to come along, bringing each of these dotted lines into the groove where we'd usually do our cutting and run that scoring line along. So I tend to work in the same direction along one way, and then I turn my card or my paper 90 degrees and work in the same direction the other way as well, just to make sure I don't miss any lines. Now with this one there are a couple of diagonals. They're quite easy to do as well. You don't have to do just right angle lines. I'll just get this one done here. See, now I'm going to turn it 90 degrees and do this line here, and I'm also going to do this little line here. So all that's left now are these points. So all I need to do is bring my card away from the top of the trimmer, so into the middle there somewhere, and just put my dotted line into the gap there. And once it's in the centre of the gap in the guide, then I know I can go along with my scoring tool and trim that. Now I'm just going to do that for all four. Put that out of the way, away from the cardstock, while I get it in line. And again, and repeat that on the other side. There we go. So now I should have, if I turn this over, I can see I've got all the score lines, and you can double check yourself, but all the score lines that you have on the front of the template. So if you're happy you've got all those, pop your trimmer or your scoring tool or whatever you've used away and peel off your template. So keep that for now. If it's all intact, keep that. If you accidentally ripped it, doesn't matter, you could always print off another one if you need. So let's fold this over, and first of all let's make the box. So let's bring the sides of the box up so you start to gauge how this is going to go. So there's your four sides of your box. Okay, now we have four flaps here. These need to come inwards. Okay, and so that this folds flat, the triangles that we've got on either end here, they're going to need to fold. So we're going to just give these a fold like so, and what you'll see is those flaps then should fold in like so. So it's kind of a little bit springy, and repeat on the other side. So bring your triangle in, okay, and then fold each side back on itself, and just make sure those tabs fold in so they all compact nicely like so. So then the side of your card will go over and it will fold back onto each one, over and fold back. This is where I like to take a bone folder and just smooth everything over. This is such a quick and simple card to make, and it really does have a wow factor. I love making these cards. It's the sort of thing that still goes in an envelope, but it really does pop up. So now we've got that springy action, and we've got everything folded where it should be. We can apply some glue just onto each of these four tabs. Now I'm just using the Creative wet glue. This one's available on Craft Stash. Fantastic price, and it's such a good glue. It's actually a reasonably new formula. They redid the formula, I suppose, sort of researched and tried some different formulas recently, and they've changed it slightly, and you know, it's absolutely brilliant. I mean, I liked the old Craft Stash glue, but this one is even better. It's actually one that it's my go-to wet glue now. So just putting the glue on all four tabs and then pressing that down. By folding it down like this, you know you're getting all those tabs in exactly the right place. So just hold that down for a moment. This glue really doesn't take very long to grip at all. And then just gently let that open up. Now I'm not going to be pulling at that just yet because I want the glue to fully dry, but you can already see we're starting to get that box appear in there. Okay, so if you want to put something like a stamped message in there, make sure you do that before you construct the card. I'm just going to put some of this lovely floral paper on two panels here, and then a little message on the inside there. So while that's drying, I'm going to use my template here just to cut myself two panels that will fit. So I think I will go for two that will sit side by side. So by folding this over like so, I've got myself the outline for one panel. And I can trim that around. And if you want to, you can do this and then make these panels slightly smaller. So this one will fit perfectly on there, but if I want to, and I will do this in a moment, I will just trim a little bit off the edge to make a border. But I'm then going to do exactly the same here with the panel that's next to it so that the pattern across the top is continuous. Now I should have that pattern should be nice and continuous throughout the two pieces, but I'm going to trim a little bit off. So I'm just going to take my trimmer. I'm going to take about something like 5mm from 2 of the edges. It's not a lot, it's just enough to give me a little peak of green all the way around the edge, the border there. So using the markings on my trimmer to make sure that I'm taking the same sort of sized border off from all the way around. And you see when I put that on there, it's actually leaving me with a nice border. I'll glue that in the middle, of course, but a nice border around the edge. So do the same with this one as well. Just pop that to the 5mm mark. There's one, and then the same on the bottom too. There we go, and I'll use the same glue again just to attach these. So there we have our box card so far, and as you can see, it folds completely flat. You can create a wrap or something to go round this, and then it opens up. So inside here I'd like to put a little message. I'm just going to find myself a small die cut or already die cut piece, or maybe even stamp something onto white. Make sure that's white in there so it shows up against the dark green, and just place that message in there. You've also got the option of writing on the back as well, so you can pop a piece of card on the back, a message on there, so you don't have to try and write inside the card. But as I said earlier, if you do want to put a message in there, ideally do it before you start doing the folding and the sticking and the constructing of the card.